Hey everyone, welcome back to the MHP Show podcast. I'm your host, Derek Vickers. On the MHP Show, we're talking about mobile home parks, operations, crazy stories. We should probably do more with crazy stories. I had someone message me about that, so I need to talk more about crazy stories, and we can do that. But we talk about all that on the MHP Show, and I'm excited here today to come at you with a new episode that we have going. This is something that we've been building up to do for a long time, and I'm excited to talk about this and really explain to you why, for a couple reasons why we're doing this now and why we love it and we think there's a lot of opportunity there. I'm going to talk a little bit about our fund today, like why we're doing it and why it was a good choice for us to do it and why it was better than a syndication. And maybe we'll talk about, hey, should you do a fund or a syndication in your first deal? And we'll talk about that because this has actually been in the works for a long time. Turned around dozens of deals and made a ton of mistakes. And, we fixed our mistakes and, moved on and made more mistakes and fixed those mistakes. And, so I'm going to talk about like why we're doing this and why we decided to do this versus just doing an individual syndication and the benefits of it. And then I'll touch on like, hey, should you do a syndication for your first deal? Should you just buy your first deal, or should you do a fund for your first race? Like, I know guys who have done that, right? Now, when I know guys that have done that, and like we're scaling a business here, and so there's some people would say, okay, maybe you do like you partner with somebody, then do a syndication, then you do a fund. But I would say like you can actually start with any of those. Each level just has its level of balls that it's going to take to make it happen, the level of risk that you're willing to tolerate. Now, why are we doing this in the first place is because we're solving a massive problem in the United States. I think we can all agree that there's a huge affordable housing problem in the United States. Like there's no question about it. And, yes, apartment rents have been going down, but they're still very expensive relative to what everyone else makes. Now, mobile home park lot rents are going up as well, but they're still a much smaller amount, percentage wise, of someone's actual yearly income on what they can spend on rent, so they can still afford it. So we're helping solve that affordable housing crisis, because if we didn't go around and turn around these parks, is that they wouldn't be there anymore, right? They wouldn't be there anymore. If people didn't go in and improve the parks and, oh my God, everybody hates to say it, but increase the rent, like you have to do it. Otherwise, the park's not going to be there and it's not going to be in operation anymore, because they're going to come in and they're going to scrape the park. Because if you're not bringing in more income in the park, you can't pave the roads, you can't make it safer, you can't make it cleaner, you can't do any of that. So they would come in and scrape it down and build who knows what. Maybe they'll build industrial. Like maybe they'll build multifamily and it's $2,000 a month or whatever it is, right? So the preservation of actually affordable housing is really the problem that we're solving here, and really what we're doing and why we put together these funds. Obviously, we do it because it benefits us. It benefits our investors. It's a great play with the economic uncertainty now. It's a hedge against inflation. Any real estate is, because over time, rents continue to rise with inflation, and, it's an inflation hedge. It's a massive inflation hedge, and it's tax benefits for our investors as well. But when we get back to preserving affordable housing, like this is really where we come in. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit more. You go in, I know you've seen a mobile home park in your town that's dilapidated. The roads are just, it looks like, mortars were being set off on the roads. The houses are in bad shape. The electric is in bad shape. It's got tons of code enforcement issues, right? So like at some point, if that continues to go and that continues to deteriorate, the city or the county or whatever is going to come in and say, okay, you either got to fix this, or you got to sell it, or whatever, right? They can go in and actually, they've shut down mobile home parks in places, and I've known people that have Yeah, I have experienced this because of infrastructure issues or whatnot, that they actually get shut down. They can't operate as a mobile home park anymore. Because anytime you give a city or a municipality a reason to get rid of another mobile home park, they're probably going to, take it up because they don't like them. Let's face it, because most of them don't look the best, right? So we actually come in and we improve those communities. We make them safer. We're putting cameras up. We have these solar cameras that we put up because some of these parks, like we buy them in urban areas. So there's a lot of through traffic in there, and who knows what some of these guys are doing. But when we put those cameras up and we put new lighting up, like it just gives like the person that's going to come through the park and do bad stuff is going to be less likely to do it if they see that, oh my gosh, they have cameras in here now. And these are working cameras. These aren't dummy cameras. Like we can see every park at, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And 95% of the time, you may think, oh my God, I'd love to look at that. It's probably entertaining. Well, it's not. 98% of the time, like really not much goes on at a mobile home park. But nonetheless, it does create a safer environment for the residents. Road paving, we always come in and pave the roads if it's definitely needed, and most of them, the roads, it is needed to pave them. So we do that, and by doing this, we are prolonging the lifespan on the park. Like we're fixing infrastructure issues, so that again prolongs the lifespan of the park. So then, um, we can actually keep it longer and then preserve that housing um, down the road and create value for everybody. It's a win-win-win for everybody. It's a win for the tenants. It's a win for us. It's a win for the city. It's a win for the area because, it doesn't look just like an old trailer park anymore. It's actually cleaned up. We put some fences up to make it look a lot nicer as well. So, with that being said, that's a big part of this business, right? And you going in and actually handling and helping the affordable housing crisis. So that's huge. And that's really the mission at Victory Capital and with our Fund One, is because that's what we're doing. It's a bigger purpose to help and preserve affordable housing. Now, how do we create value? Okay, so there's a couple different ways that we really create value. Our main driver, obviously, I talked about the curb appeal. So when you buy a park, you can go in and you can increase the curb appeal. Yes, that's going to drive value because when you go to sell it or refinance it and the bank comes in and your roads are paved, the homes are painted and skirted, like you got lights, it looks cleaner, it looks nicer. You're going to be able to sell it to somebody for more because I'm telling you, when I go and look at a park, I look at, the numbers first. Then I look at, okay, well, at that number, let's go look at it. Well, if it's really nasty, then that number should be lower. But if it's nicer and it's cleaner, okay, I can make sense of paying a higher price because I don't have to do all the much of the cleanup when I go in. So it does make a difference. It's not gonna, like, your NOI could be the same, right? But having a clean park with paved roads may um, you may be able to sell at a 7 cap instead of an 8, or in a great market, you can sell at a 6 instead of a 7 or a 6.5. And those multiples, like, that's big money. That's big money. So that's one way that we're creating value. Our second biggest value driver is that we're converting park-owned homes to tenant-owned homes. And I love this business model because you get to go in and create homeowners, right? With interest rates so high, it's so difficult for someone to buy a house now and afford a house. So we're actually allowing them to come in and do that. And we're typically not charging interest. We do little to no down payments on these things. So we're giving people a great opportunity to own something. And contrary to popular belief, the values of these homes actually go up. And people are selling their homes for more than what they paid for them because they do some work and we improve the park. So someone's willing to pay more for it because we're coming in and improving the park as well. Now, when you go in and do this stuff in your park, people aren't going to like it. There's going to be people that want the park to stay cheap. They want it to stay a dump. They don't want you to pave the roads. They don't want you to cut the trees down. They don't care if a hurricane comes through and it blows over on someone's house, but they would if it came and blew on their house, right? But they don't want you to do all that. So you'll deal with some problems there, and that's just the nature of the business. But I love this park and home conversion model because it does give people an opportunity to come in and own their home. Another way that we add value is that we sub-meter and bill back utilities, water and sewer, trash. We typically bill those things back as we go through the business plan, which that may be in year 1 or year 2. Usually by year 2, we've got everything billed back and in a good working order. So those are expenses that don't hit our bottom line. And then also, tenants that used to, fill up pools and have the water slides out in the summer and have, a pool over here and a pool over there. And we had a tenant in one of the parks here recently that we went in and they literally just had the hose running. There's under their house, there's, inches of water, right? But as soon as you start billing back for water, people start actually conserving water. And, it's good for everybody all around because everyone pays for their own water. And I believe that they should pay for that. The next way that we build value is that we bring rents to up to fair market value rents to where they should be in that market. Um, and that's just, it's such a, I think it's crazy because my phone bill goes up every year, groceries go up every year, and all this other stuff, right? But the mobile home park owners are so bad for increasing their rents because we're going in and improving the property. It's just an easy way for the media outlets to go hammer after somebody. It's just an easy target, right? And they're just doing it for clicks. But that is one way that we create value, and you should do that. Otherwise, the park is not going to be there and you're not going to have a business. The last way that we create value, and we don't do much of this, is that we fill vacant lots. Um, it's not a big driver of our income and value, is that because I'm underwriting the park based on just basically what's there. And if we bring in homes on vacant lots, that's just a bonus for us. And maybe in the future we'll do more of that. But right now it's one of our last levers that we pull, but it's just really icing on the cake for us. So like that's my way that I add value. And I think that's the levers that most people are pulling. So when you're searching for a park, like you need to look for this stuff. You need to look for these ways that you can go in and add value. Now, there is some value in buying a park that already has all this stuff because they're very easy to operate after that. They're just going to sit there. But you have to buy it right because you're usually going to buy those things where the cap rate is much lower on a park like that. So you have to, kind of weigh your options here. But those are the ways that I would add value and that you should add value when you're going in and buying a mobile home park. Now, what's the track record? Like how did I get into this business? So in 2020, I bought my first park. I partnered up with a guy. We bought a bunch of mobile home parks in 2021 and in the first half of 2022. And we did really well on those properties. We had an average IRR on the properties that we had of 245%. I mean, this is crazy deals. And this was a factor of us buying right and obviously a lower interest rate environment, but that wasn't the only thing. Like these parks were not worth that. We had to go in and convert vacant park owned homes. We had to go in and build back utilities. Like some of these parks that we bought, they were 70% vacant. So it's not just, hey, you guys did well because it was a product of the market. No, we went in and forced appreciation. We would have did well even in this environment. Just that environment in 2021 and 2022 at the beginning actually allowed for even a bigger boom when we went to refinance these things. And in 2023, we didn't buy anything. I didn't buy anything. 2024, I only started buying back in July because there just wasn't any deals to buy. And we bought, we did 5 syndication deals from July of 2024 to May. And then we started the fund. Then we've closed, it'll be 7 deals next week, since that. And, we've never lost money on a deal. Some deals have went better than others when we started buying again in 2024, which is, I think, more realistic expectations than the massive IRRs that we were getting before, which that's still possible. You're just not going to do it on 15 straight deals. So, we have 6 of those parks. They're all paying distributions. I always promise that we're not going to pay distributions for 12 months. I'm just a crazy super conservative. But let's see, 4 of those deals we started paying in 5 and 6 months, one of them in 9 months. And actually one of the distributions didn't start till after 12 months. It was just a slower process, right? But that just kind of gives you an idea of what I'm projecting on these things versus what we're doing. Um, and so those deals are going really well, and we're actually looking at potentialities to refinance or sell those deals now. And look, I'll tell you, like, our track record, like, I've made a ton of mistakes. I did a lot of things wrong in the beginning because we grew too fast, didn't have systems in place, and was just kind of, oh my God, fly by the seat of our pants. But what that allowed me to do was learn and what are the right systems. And hey, when these problems come up and show up again, we know exactly how to handle them. We've dealt with very, very tough and very, very difficult problems before. And I think that's super important as an operator, because you are going to go through that stuff, right? And do you stick it out, or are you just like, oh my God, this is a problem, I'm done with mobile home parks, right? It's about persistence, right? And once you do these, like, once you start scaling and getting into this business, like, whether you want to buy a deal or 10 deals, or scale to hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of assets, you're going to have problems. And the problems that you think are problems in the beginning are going to seem small, and then you graduate to like different problems, right? But I think it's important to like understand the persistence and the problems that I dealt with and the checks that I had to write to fix things. Most people would have quit. Most people probably would have just said, okay, screw it, I'm going to go do something else. But that's not me. When I start something, I finish it. And now we have the systems and we have the knowledge and the things to really make this um, business even more scalable than we had it before. So what do we have in Fund One right now? Well, we have 6 assets in Fund One. 2 are in Arizona, and the rest are in Florida. And these are mobile home parks, 40 units and up. And it's a mix of utilities. Most of these are park-owned home conversion parks. So we're going in and buying parks with mostly park-owned homes, and then we're converting those over to tenant-owned homes for those reasons that I mentioned to you before. Now, I'm projecting that we're going to hold these for like 5 to 7 years. And, but the thing is, when I tell investors like, hey, we're doing this for 5 to 7 years, okay, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be any capital events before that, because we're going in and we're adding value fast. So as soon as we're able to start refinancing deals and returning capital, that's exactly what we're going to start doing if the market supports it. So my target is by year 5 to have a good bit of the capital returned. So then we can kind of see where the market is. Okay, maybe if it's a seller's market and we can sell the thing for a 5 cap, sure. Let's let her rip. Right? But if not, let's just say if those 5 years were up in 2023, it's like, it wouldn't be in anybody's good interest to sell, right? Because we would have to sell for an 8 cap, right? Maybe, a 7.5 cap. So I like to do it that way, so we have options once we get to the end of those cycles. And by the way, all my underwriting, the exit cap is based on a 7 cap. Okay, so it's not based on a 5 cap, or it's based on a 6 cap. It's based on a 7 cap. And we're buying in, Tucson, Phoenix, Orlando, Tampa. Like, we're not buying in the middle of nowhere and projecting an exit cap of 7%, a 7% exit cap. So it's relatively conservative compared to what I've seen out there. We're projecting a 15 to 19% IRR. I'm very conservative in my projections. I'm not this guy that's going to send you, hey, we're going to do 25, we're going to do 30, we're going to do 35. We're going to do a standard. It's going to be a safe projection, which I think that we will do, even if things don't perform well. And again, that's if we exit at a 7 cap, we're still going to be in great shape. We have a 7% property management fee. We have a 3% acquisition fee and a 1% asset management fee. Those are all the fees. There's no dispo fees or anything like that. So that's what we have at Fund One. Now, I will say, people say, oh my God, your 7% management fee is high. Okay, yeah, I got it. But, some other groups are charging, they're charging a lower management fee, but they're maybe charging a loan guarantor fee, or they're charging a project management fee, because a lot of this stuff is like, these deals are project heavy and project intensive. So we need that in order to get the resources and the back end systems and the stuff to pay for to make these deals run properly. Right? We want the investment to be successful. So we have to have that. We can't be like, if we're losing money on this stuff, like, then, we just can't operate the deals effectively. I think that's pretty understandable to people. In the mobile home park business, it's not like you can just go hire a third party property manager. I mean, you just can't do it. I've talked to many people and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go do that. And then they do it and they're like, yeah, that was a bad idea. So, um, with us, like, you're getting experience and you're getting, systems. Like my COO's, he's psycho when it comes to putting systems and processes in and making sure that we are super dialed in on our operations. And right now we're closing on another deal in Tampa next week. We've got 6 more deals in the pipeline. I don't know if we'll close on all those deals. We just passed on 2 deals last month. We don't close on every deal. Okay. I will say that. We go in, we do our due diligence. If it doesn't fit our buy box and I don't feel comfortable with it, we don't buy it. But I think people have said to me, like, oh, you're buying a lot of deals. And they're like, yeah, we're passing on a lot of deals too, though, is the thing. We've just kind of built up this pipeline over time and we've gotten hot. Now, I'll mention something to you about the pipeline. So I'm pretty inundated in the Florida market. I have great relationships with brokers and wholesalers. I have my own acquisitions team where we're calling and sending mailers, because people ask me, how do you find these deals? Well, we actually have a system, and I've built up relationships with sellers. I have had sellers that I've been working on for 2, 3, 4, 5 years in order to get their deals from them, right? So we're working this, and we're intimately connected in the industry, in markets that we're in, so we can get the best deals before they get to market. All of our deals are off market. They're all off market. I was trying to think if we had any that are on market. No, they're either from our team, our mailers, or their pocket listings from brokers, which are off market. They're not regularly listed. Although some that we have under contract now are listed. But I think with some of that, like, I think there's some things that we know that we can do from a value adding perspective that some people maybe they don't see yet. So I'll tell you, like, we are really, really good at finding deals because I think that we're inundated in markets. And this is why I tell people all the time, it's like, if you don't know the markets you're in, you're not going to, like, it's going to be harder for you to find deals because you're just, crazy everywhere. You're like, well, I don't know if this market's good or this one or this one or this one. Like, you send me a deal in Florida or Arizona in the market that I'm in, and I'm like, boom, I know within seconds whether it's something that we want to roll with or not. So that's important. The debt terms that we're getting, we have a couple great lenders that we're working with. We've got some seller financing deals that we've worked on as well. But typically we're getting the 5-year treasury plus 325 basis points. Max leverage we get is 70%. There's a 3-2-1 prepayment penalty on the debt. It's 30-year amortization, and typically we're getting 18 to 24 months of interest only, depending on the deal. And we're also able to throw some CapEx items. We're also able to finance some of our CapEx items if we feel that we need to, which does help boost investor returns as well. So why would someone invest in Fund One now? Well, because I think we have a good 5 to 10 years to buy mobile home parks, 10 at the absolute most, because they're going to be all consolidated up. I still think that we have time to go in and buy from mom and pop. We're either buying from mom and pop or operators who bought and they just still didn't maximize the full value yet because of various reasons. Right now, at some point, all of these are going to be consolidated. Yeah, there's going to be deals here and there, and there's going to be mom and pop deals for small deals that you don't necessarily want. But now is the time to do this, because we're getting these deals at discounts that I believe are discounts. And when rates go down, which I think that they are going to go down, it's going to even amplify our returns that we're going to be able to get. And if rates don't go down, right, we're still going to be great because we're turning these deals into 10 and 12 caps, right? Like, we're not just barely scraping by. Like, once they're stabilized, we've got a massive spread between the interest rate and, the cap rate that we have, that we're turning these deals into. So I think getting involved in this asset class now is massive, because as inflation continues, because this is a massive inflation hedge, as Trump's in office, we have 100% bonus depreciation back, right? So the tax benefits of this are massive. Check with your accountant. And it's affordable housing, right? Because we need that. in the United States. And that's our mission, that's our journey. And I'd love for you to join us on that journey to help us, protect the last leg of affordable housing. Because if we don't, then there's going to be less and less mobile home parks, because there's more mobile home parks being demolished than built every year. And we want you to be a part of that. And you can reach out to me and we can talk about it. And that's one last thing that I'll leave you with. With our shop, you can call and I'll book a call with you. You can talk to me, the main principal, directly. I'll talk to you directly, have a conversation with you, and you can learn directly from me. Watch my podcasts. You can see me posting on social media. We can meet in person. I would love to, but you're not talking to someone else. You're going to be talking to me directly, and I think that's a big point. So look, if you're an accredited investor and you're looking where to place capital before the end of the year, you can reach out to me at victorycapital.com, and you can reach out to me on social media. You can go to victorycapital.com. It's VICKTORY capital.com, and go to offerings. Then you can get into our investor platform. And we'll also have the links here. We'll also have the links here for you to check that out. So I will see you guys next time. Peace.